What if your routine job turned into your worst nightmare? How do ordinary workplaces become scenes of unimaginable tragedy? Join us as we delve into the chilling stories behind the most disturbing workplace deaths of all time, uncovering the shocking dangers of day-to-day life and asking the essential question: could these accidents have been prevented? On June 2, 2022, a devastating tragedy unfolded. Stephen Dierkes, a 39-year-old father of three, worked at the Caterpillar foundry in Mapleton, Illinois. It was only his 9th day on the job, a day that started like any other but would tragically become his last. Unbeknownst to Stephen, the dangers of the workplace were lurking. Stephen Dierkes was a family man. He loved his partner, Jessica Sutter, and their 3 daughters, aged 4, 5, and 12. Residing in Peoria, Illinois, Stephen was known for his hard-working nature and gentle disposition. He had only recently, 9 days to be exact, started a new job at the Caterpillar foundry. Stephen had high hopes for the job and intended to provide for his family after unemployment. Little did he know his new job would lead to a fatal accident, just 9 days after he started. Caterpillar's Mapleton is one of the largest foundries in the United States, a truly significant industrial facility. The foundry can melt up to 1,000 tons of iron each day, producing a variety of finished castings. However, given the extreme temperatures and dangerous conditions in the smelting process, the foundry's employees are constantly engaged in high-risk operations. They need extensive training to be prepared to do their job safely. However, despite its industrial prominence and extensive output, the foundry had some safety concerns. At about 9:20 a.m. on that fateful Thursday, Stephen Dierkes had a seemingly simple task: take a sample of molten iron heated to an astounding 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. However, as simple as it might sound, this task was hazardous since Stephen was working near a crucible, a vessel in which metallic elements are melted to be cast into new objects. Any misstep was potentially fatal. Unfortunately, a wrong step was all it took for disaster to happen. While performing this task, Stephen tripped. There were no guardrails or other protective measures whatsoever. Stephen fell into the deadly crucible, but only partially. Stephen Dierkes was essentially melted in half by the unforgiving temperature. Just before 10 a.m., the Peoria County Coroner's Office and Peoria County Sheriff's Office received a call reporting the accident. 20 minutes later, at 10:20 a.m., the entire facility had been evacuated, sending employees home after the tragic incident. That day, the contents of the crucible were taken out and placed elsewhere to cool. Hours later, the coroner's team searched for Stephen Dierkes' remains. They found only small bone fragments. They concluded Stephen died as a result of thermal annihilation. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, investigated the incident. Chicago's regional administrator, Bill Donovan, noted that Dierkes' death could have been prevented if proper safety measures had been in place. OSHA proposed a fine of $145,027, which is the maximum allowed under federal law. Despite this, there were no signs of a criminal investigation being initiated. Some criticized the decision not to pursue a criminal investigation, calling it a double standard. They claimed smaller corporations are usually under more scrutiny, but powerful multinational corporations are met with more leniency. After Stephen's accident, foundry employees expressed their concerns regarding safety measures. Workers' reports described an environment plagued by poor safety standards and tiring conditions. The death of another worker, Scott Adams, 6 months before Dierkes' accident, further underscored the ongoing safety issues at the facility. Despite these incidents, Caterpillar responded to these concerns by asserting that safety is a top priority. But workers felt their actions suggested otherwise. Jessica Sutter, Stephen's partner, held Caterpillar responsible for his death, blaming the lack of safety precautions at the facility. She expressed her grief and anger, stating that Stephen was taken from his family due to these failures. Additionally, Jessica claimed that Caterpillar failed to provide any assistance or support to her and their daughters in the aftermath of the tragedy. On October 23, 2023, 40-year-old Nicholas J. Marks was about to start working. Nicholas was a window cleaner in downtown Boston, cleaning some of the city's tallest buildings. His job wasn't easy, and as Nicholas and countless others were about to find out, it wasn't safe either. At 40, Nicholas J. Marks, who lived in East Weymouth, was a seasoned professional in the window cleaning industry. He had been working as a window cleaner for over 20 years. He was highly regarded for his expertise and was often the person his colleagues looked up to and asked for advice. Even more, Nicholas was also a devoted father to 2 young children. His job was risky, but Nicholas's experience meant he was also severe and cautious regarding safety. But when fate and luck come into play, there's little people can do. Nicholas was an employee of Sky Safety Incorporated, a Boston-based company specializing in high-rise window cleaning services. The company had been operating for several years and prided itself on maintaining rigorous safety standards and providing comprehensive training to its employees. But was this pride founded? That Monday morning, Nicholas Marks worked on the 32-story office building at 100 Summer Street. At some point, he attempted to transition into his bosun's chair, a device used to suspend a person from a rope to perform work aloft. He had done the same thing countless times in his extensive career, each time with no incident. But this time, something terrible happened. A critical component of the safety equipment, an anchor line, snapped. And then Nicholas's lifeline snapped too. Nicholas plummeted and struck the parapet wall with such force that his body caused visible damage. Authorities were immediately alerted by horrified witnesses. Multiple police cruisers arrived on the scene. They blocked off the area with yellow tape as a detective took photographs of the scene. Hours later, the police were able to recover evidence: a shoe, a shattered piece of plastic safety equipment, and Nicholas's bosun's chair. An Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, investigation was immediately launched. This investigation revealed several alarming safety violations on the part of Sky Safety Inc. The federal agency issued citations totaling $447,087 for what they called repeated, willful, and severe violations of safety standards. The investigation concluded that Sky Safety Inc. needed to inspect the rope and equipment adequately for damage and deterioration before each work shift. Furthermore, the company should have removed defective components from service or adequately trained its employees on equipment inspection. OSHA's findings indicated the company's negligence in maintaining and inspecting fall protection systems directly contributed to the fatal accident. Sky Safety Inc. was also found to have used rope descent systems, lifelines, and lanyards that needed to be adequately protected from potential damage, such as cuts and erosion, and failed to use the certified building anchorage for the rope descent system. But Sky Safety Inc. denied the allegations. The company claimed it had spent considerable funds on new safety equipment shortly before the accident and maintained that Marks had been thoroughly trained in safety protocols. The company attributed the accident to an unforeseen hazard. A hidden piece of metal had severed the rope, and the building's owner was to blame. Despite the company's defense, the OSHA report did not corroborate the presence of the metal hazard mentioned by Sky Safety Inc. The company was given 15 business days to comply with or contest the citations issued by OSHA. The loss of Nicholas J. Marks is a painful reminder of the critical importance of workplace safety, especially in high-risk professions like window cleaning. It was early September 2019, and Samuela Chirivakayawa was working as a gardener. A former schoolteacher, the Fiji native, had moved to Australia to pursue a new life after a series of complicated personal events. Samuela wanted to start all over, but unbeknownst to him, his tragic end was approaching quickly. At 40 years old, Samuela Chirivakayawa had recently relocated from Fiji to Australia, seeking a fresh start and better opportunities. Samuela, a teacher by profession, had moved to Sydney after burying his father earlier in the year, and subsequently found work with A1 Arbor Tree Services, a tree management company. He taught in Fiji and Silana, a coastal village, working alongside Western volunteers. Samuela was positive and dedicated despite facing personal challenges, including marital issues. He was now working on making a new life for himself, and he was excited by his new home, Australia, at least according to his social media accounts. The man would often share photos of himself in front of landmarks such as the Sydney Harbour and the Opera House. It was the morning of September 7th, 2019, a Saturday, and Samuela was working at Cromhurst School in Lindfield, Sydney, along with 2 others. According to the equipment's design specifications, he manually fed branches into a wood chipper, which should have been performed using a mechanical log loader rather than by hand. At some point, Samuela's colleagues had to step away to move a car. Samuela continued working. It was then that the unimaginable happened. Samuela was drawn into the wood chipper's infeed hopper and the internal disc drum. When his colleagues eventually returned, they were met with a puzzling, unsettling sight. Samuela was missing, and there was blood all over the machine. It didn't take long for the two workers to figure out what happened and to alert local authorities. Following the incident, SafeWork New South Wales, NSW, launched an extensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding Samuela's death. The investigation revealed significant safety violations by One Arbor Tree Services, the company that employed Samuela. The wood chipper in question was not meant to be fed manually, and it bore clear warnings against such use. Danger, do not hand-feed this machine. Severe injury or death can result. Despite these warnings, the company failed to conduct a proper risk assessment of the equipment and allowed its use unsafely and against manufacturer instructions. Moreover, the wood chipper was known to be faulty then, but the tree management company didn't address it. Even more, it was found One Arbor Tree Services did not provide adequate training, information, or instruction to its workers on the safe operation of the machine. The court found the company's guilt to be reasonably high, noting that the foreseeable harm from such negligence was extreme and the steps to prevent it were straightforward and minimally inconvenient. One Arbor Tree Services initially received a $3 million fine, but due to a guilty plea, the fine was eventually reduced to $2.25 million. NSW Work Health and Safety Minister Sophie Kotsis remarked that Samuela Kirivakayawa's tragic death was entirely avoidable and underlined the importance of compliance with workplace safety laws. She pointed out that workers should be able to perform their duties without fearing for their lives, and said thorough safety reviews are necessary to prevent such incidents in the future. Friends and colleagues remember Samuela Kirivakayawa as a humble, hard-working individual with a talent for making people laugh. In October 2017, Natalia Nemetz was the mother of a young boy and a factory worker at the Slavyanka confectionery factory in Stary Oskol, Russia. That October, Natalia was at work as usual when something terrifying happened. When her colleagues noticed Natalia was missing, they set out to find her. But what they found shocked the world. Natalia Nemetz was a dedicated worker and a devoted mother to her 10-year-old son Ivan. She lived in the Belgorod Oblast region and worked at the Slavyanka confectionery factory, a significant local employer known for producing a variety of sweets and confectionery products. Nobody expected what would happen to the woman. Her family, friends, and colleagues were shocked, struggling to come to terms with her fate. The Slavyanka confectionery factory is a well-known establishment in Stary Oskol, providing employment and income for many residents. The factory has large industrial mixers and tanks for sweet treats, including caramel. Although essential to the factory's operations, these machines are also hazardous if employees aren't instructed to maintain and operate them correctly and follow strict safety protocols. On the fateful day of October 20th, 2017, Natalia had a task. She was assigned to clean one of the large mixers used for caramel production. Natalia started cleaning, but then something happened. She fell inside the tank. To make things worse, at some point, caramel began to flow into the tank unexpectedly, and it was boiling. After a while, Natalia's colleagues noticed something was amiss when they realized she was absent from her usual workstation. A few of them began searching for her, but their search ended in horror when they found only her legs sticking out from the caramel-filled tank. Their worst fears had come true, but there was nothing they could do to save the 36-year-old woman. She'd been boiled alive without making any noise, not even a peep. To make things worse, the vat was fitted with blades designed to stir the caramel. It was a freak accident, one that left a child motherless. The caramel was eventually removed from the tank and Natalia's body was recovered. The news spread quickly around the factory, but management tried to cover up the accident. They threatened employees that anyone who revealed anything would be sacked. But since truth has a way to come out, authorities soon found out about the accident. A local paper, the Komsomolskaya Pravda, picked up the story and reported that Natalia's death was instantaneous due to the high temperature of the caramel, which can reach temperatures well above the boiling point of water. The workers noted that no cries for help were heard, suggesting she might have fainted or been otherwise incapacitated before falling into the caramel. Following the accident, a labor commission initiated an investigation to determine the exact cause of the incident and to assess the factory's compliance with safety regulations. Two primary theories emerged. Either Natalia fainted due to the high temperatures in the working area, causing her to fall into the tank, or she stumbled and fell in by accident. Both scenarios highlighted potential lapses in the factory's safety protocols. The investigation uncovered troubling details about the factory's safety practices. Reports indicated that this was the third fatal incident at the Slavyanka confectionery factory within a year, suggesting a pattern of negligence. Even more, the factory's management tried to cover up the accident by threatening workers with dismissal if they spoke to the press. Natalia's death remains a mystery. No additional details are known. What we do know, however, is that Natalia didn't have a single chance to survive the freak accident. Her son Ivan was taken in by Natalia's sister Yulia. The tragic death of Natalia Nemitz underscores the critical importance of rigorous safety standards in industrial workplaces. It was January 20th, 2021, and Robert MacArthur, a 32-year-old charge hand linesman, was operating a mobile elevated work platform, also known as a MEWP, near Longformacus, Berwickshire, in the Scottish borders. Robert had extensive experience in his work, but that day, he disregarded protocols. His decision cost him his life. Robert MacArthur was an experienced and dedicated linesman with 13 years of service. He was employed by Keltbray Rail Limited and was known among his colleagues as a conscientious and enthusiastic employee. He was initially from Kincardine, Fife. Robert was committed to his work and a passionate football fan, an avid Rangers supporter. On the day of the accident, January 20th, 2021, Robert operated a mobile elevated work platform, MEWP, while working on a new electricity line near Winchester House close to Longformacus. He had operated the machinery before. The MEWP is commonly used in construction for accessing difficult-to-reach areas and requires careful handling, particularly on uneven terrain. Robert was moving the MEWP to a location approximately 1.5 kilometers southwest. He and his colleagues had to follow an approved access route, but something made Robert change his mind. Instead of following the designated path, he chose a shortcut over a steep slope with a gradient between 22 and 23 degrees. It was later found that this shortcut would save Robert about 10 minutes. But this particular contract was supposed to last days. As such, 10 minutes wouldn't have made a difference. It is unclear why Robert chose to take a shortcut. However, we know he initially seemed to navigate the slope successfully. But his luck changed quickly. Approximately halfway down, the MEWP lost traction after going over a raised area of sheep track, causing the mobile elevated work platform to slide uncontrollably. The vehicle then turned sideways, effectively making its caterpillar tracks. Linked metal chains fastened around its wheels to help it move over rough terrain, function like skis. It was then that Robert MacArthur lost control of the vehicle. The MEWP hit a raised compact tuft of grass and toppled over. Robert wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He was thrown from the vehicle, and then the truck landed on top of him, causing fatal head injuries. Even though emergency services arrived quickly, they were unable to save him. A fatal accident inquiry was conducted at Jedburgh Sheriff Court to investigate the circumstances surrounding Robert's death. Sheriff Peter Patterson presided over the inquiry, and his findings highlighted two critical factors that could have prevented the accident. Robert could have survived if he had worn the seatbelt and followed the approved access route. Sheriff Patterson noted that Robert's failure to wear a seatbelt was a significant factor in his fatal injuries. If Robert had worn the seatbelt, he would have likely remained inside the vehicle, potentially surviving the accident. Additionally, by taking a shortcut over steep and uneven terrain, Robert increased the risk of losing control of the MEWP. Though possibly longer, the approved route was designed to minimize such risks. Moreover, the investigation found no defects in Keltbray Rail Limited's working systems. The company provided all workers, including Robert, with clear and approved access routes. The decision to deviate from this route appeared to be Robert's alone. Even more, Sheriff Patterson speculated Robert's personality could have played a part in the accident. Sure, he was a diligent worker, but Robert also had a let's-get-on-with-things attitude that could have tragically contributed to a fatal decision. The sheriff's conclusions underlined that following rules should be a top priority, even for experienced workers.